Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Fraser Live. This is episode number 2. Thank you all for joining me. And if you guys are in the chat, hello to everybody, wherever you guys are watching. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I'm sure people are watching all over the world, so it's cool for you guys to be a part of this. Today, we're going to be talking about gear. I'm sure throughout the years, you guys out there, you photographers, I've been talking gear to all your friends and colleagues and whatnot. But today, I wanted to bring on some very special guests and just talk about their gear, their favorite things to use on the daily for, photography, for their jobs, whether it's, cameras, lenses, their workflow, accessories, tools, even on the computer, what are their favorite softwares or applications they like to use. So it's going to be a lot of fun talk today in regards to everything for gear. So in this live stream, for you guys out there watching, please, as we're talking, if you guys have a comment or a question, go ahead and put it in the live stream in the chat, and we'll definitely try to address that as the stream's going on. And then if we get some time at the end, we may leave it open for some Q&A, so we can just get some direct questions from the chat room so we can all answer them. So should be fun. But without further ado, let's go ahead and bring everybody on board. We got today Mr. Matthew Anderson from Kansas City. Hi. We got Gary Kasl from San Diego, California. And lastly, Mr. Sick Bedroom, Wayne Capili from Carmel, California. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Hey, I'm good.
So how is 2025? Are you guys coming off the holidays and getting into the swing of things?
This was a surprisingly busy month.
Busy, good. Yeah. Now, are you guys primarily? I know. Wayne does A&D, and also he does real estate. But for Matthew and Gary, are you guys primarily A&D, or are you guys doing a little bit of both as well?
Go ahead, Gary.
I'm 50-50.
I mean, had you asked me a month ago, it's 100% pretty much A&D stuff. But I literally did a real estate shoot about 3 weeks ago, but I shot it. They wanted someone who, kind of more A&D centric to shoot it, and so technically, yeah, it was a real estate shoot, but it was done as if it was like done for a designer or architect. So yeah, but yeah. Short answer, yeah, pretty much A&D now.
Yeah, for me, I would say it's 50-50. It's 50 A&D and 50 real estate, more towards the luxury stuff. And right now, things ramped up with, you guys heard about all the California fires. Well, all the rentals and Airbnbs out here in Vegas are hitting me up because everybody's like getting busy from that's happening. So, I mean, I guess good for me, but I mean, it sucks what happened. But yeah, for Vegas right now, it's crazy busy for me. Like I never had a January this busy before. So
I actually have
advantage of it.
Kind of an opposite problem. One of my clients is a huge Airbnb, like property management company out here that's all their stuff's on the water. And they were gearing up to have me come through and shoot a bunch of properties, but now they're booked out solid for the foreseeable future with all the people that have been displaced. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
So for 2025, I know 2024 is already gone, but as far as what you guys have accumulated and things as of today, where we're at right now, what would you guys say is your favorite piece of gear? Now, you can say camera and go with that. I get it. But besides just the camera, is there anything else that you would say is your favorite piece of gear as of right now in 2025?
Mine would be
Matthew. We'll start with Matthew.
Mine would be the Samsung S24 Ultra.
Oh, okay. So for you, it's the phone. Now, why is that?
Well, okay. So, by the way, I am an Apple guy. A month ago, I got one of my phones. They said, "Hey, look, we'll give you $1,000 for your Apple 12." And I went in, and so this was $1,100. So I'm paying $2 a month for this phone, and I really didn't think that I was going to use it, but it was just a very cool phone. But using it, my favorite app that goes with this phone is an app called Monitor Plus. So Monitor Plus allows me to plug my phone into a camera or a tablet. So I have been using the 24 Ultra as my on-screen monitor and my thing that I use for my drone, and just other things. So it actually has become surprisingly one of the most used things that I didn't think that I was going to use.
That's cool. I think at least for scouting, my phone is probably the most used for just getting composition and whatnot. What about you, Matthew? What's one of your favorite things for yourself?
My Gibson Les Paul, I love it. Oh, we're not talking. I brought it here with me. To me, this is a game changer. I was first introduced to this. Let's see, probably this March, I think will be 2 years ago. It was a workshop I attended when I first met Jordan Powers and Brian Berkowitz for the first time in person. It is we'll call it a scrim or a silk. It's the Westcott one. This is the 8x8 footer. So this is the lovely plastic bag I put it in. I was first introduced to it at that workshop, and I knew I kind of had my own version at the time. I had taken Painter's, I don't know, whatever that plastic is.
Drop cloth.
Yeah, basically, yeah, drop cloth. And I had kind of cut some squares off it, but then you got to tape it up, and it's pretty hefty. And so if you don't tape it right, it would fall off. So when I saw that and the Velcro that was built in, I thought that was amazing. So I purchased it. And, when you shoot interiors, there's a lot of times where I thought, man, I would just love a massive wall of soft light, if we're not getting one naturally. And that's what that allows me to do. So I have been able to work with it for probably a little over a year now. And then the cherry on top was, excuse me, a big advocate for these is Stephen Carlish. And I purchased his course late last year, and helped me to even figure out more ways to use it. So I'd been using it before Stephen's course, but his course helped me to figure out some other little tips and tricks on how to use it even more effectively.
How are you mounting it or attaching it to whatever?
So Westcott has a bar system where there's Velcro already attached to it. So if you put it, I have 2 4-foot sections, and they attach with a link in the middle. And then I have, I'm not sure if I have one near me, on a light stand, a clamp. So you literally put the bar on it, and then you just put your, put the Westcott, put the scrim or the silk, and just make sure it's Velcroed up top. And there you go. And you can raise it, lower it. I mean, it weighs nothing. So all you really have to move is the T-bar or the bar and your light stand, and it's pretty versatile. So
do you ever notice anything with the so you're mounting it from the center, right, and raising it up and down? Does that bar get in any kind of casting any kind of shadows, or it kind of it's nice and soft, you don't notice?
Not really. Yeah, it's soft enough that I've never had any issues with the bar itself casting any light. So I mean,
I just bought the that one, the 8x8, I think the one stop, and then I got the blackout one. I haven't used it yet, so that's next week. I'm going to be testing it out on some kitchens and stuff. So looking forward to give that a try.
I recommend experiment with it, meaning set it up where you want, and then maybe move your flash, up, down, angle it up, down, see what it does. I was of the incorrect mindset that if you just blasted light into this, it wouldn't matter. But
it does matter.
Yeah, and then I started figuring out, it's like, oh, I could angle it down, and that angle, even though it's really soft light, will still show up in the space that you're using.
The way that Carlish uses that too, when he kind of pulls it away and lets some hard light come through with a bunch of diffused. I love that. The way that looks, it kind of makes some streaks and stuff, and it's cool. But I found I have that same system in for real estate work. It is cumbersome, a little bit too much to deal with.
Yeah, for real estate, I don't know if I want to use that.
No, it's wild, bro. It's a little too much. I think big umbrellas like Matt uses in his videos and stuff, though, if you need a big light source and something easy to move around, those collapsible umbrellas are pretty quick and easy. But I think that the silks for interior work, and when you have the time, there's nothing better than that kind of light. Yeah,
it's my new favorite now. I mean, if I've got the space and the client's willing to give me the time, that's what I want to use. Someone asked if they thought using an 8400 Pro would be strong enough. I think it would. By default, I typically use my 600 Pro. But that being said, and by no way is this video feed sponsored, I do recommend Steven's course. And I think I mentioned this to you, Fraser. I was comforted in Steven's technique and how he tries to figure out how much flash, because it's the exact way I do it. So I want to put a YouTube video out, how I might even show it with the 400 of how you can use the 400 to figure out exactly how much light you need. I call it reverse engineering, how much flash you need on it. I know Steven might have a different way to approach it, but I actually want to ask Steven first before I put this video out. I'm like, hey, is it okay if I do this? Because it's almost to the T how you do yours. I don't want you to think I stole your idea. I'm like, hey, public, here it is.
Well, now this video is going to be out, so he's going to know that, he has evidence.
Exactly.
Just ask him publicly. Or just tell him publicly that I'm going to steal your idea.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right,
Don't
Gary,
ask.
what about you? What's your favorite gear for 2025?
Okay, so I'm gonna go cliche a little bit, but the Fuji GFX, I got a 50 R2. I wasn't able to really use it last year much. I got it kind of towards the end of the year, and I have I had an M1 iMac, which, I mean, it's okay with Canon files, but with this Fuji, it was just dragging so bad. So I kind of didn't really pull it out much. But this year I just upgraded to the Mac Mini, the Pro M4 chip, and that thing can cut through those files like butter. So I got two pieces of favorite gear now because that computer is amazing. But the way that the dynamic range on this camera is unreal. I've been trying to get this certain look with the shadows and stuff with the exteriors for a long time, and especially in one frame. And this thing handles shadows like, I mean, it's just so crispy. The noise is incredible. I've lifted 2-stop under frames all the way up in the shadows and still no noise that really needs to be addressed. A little bit fuzzy, but not bad compared to what I've seen before with the Canons. So I'm super excited about this camera. I can't wait to use it on a big shoot. I have 2 nice shoots coming up next week that I'm looking forward to using it. But that's my favorite this year so far.
How big of files are those megapixels?
They're 50.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but there's the 100. So the difference between the 100 megapixel and the 50 is, I mean, it's the same size sensor, but the 50 megapixel, the diodes of the pixels are bigger, and that which
Gary is magic. How'd you do that?
I don't know. It's actually happening in real life. But no, I like the bigger diodes for handling low light situations better. And I mean, when you get the 50 and 100, I don't know if I'm going to notice that big of a difference, like in the output. But I've been happy with it so far.
Geez, but 100 megapixel files editing, you'll notice that for sure.
Yeah.
So Gary, when you're
it's
exposing, are you exposing biased so you open up the shadows, or do you normally expose, so you get more of the highlights, to pull the file, or do you just go with what the meter says?
Well, I know with film, you're supposed to expose for the shadows and develop for the highlights, but with digital stuff, I kind of do the opposite. I expose so that the highlights are recoverable and the shadows, you could bring them up. So I usually go on the darker side.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
No, do you use that for real estate, or just bigger shoots?
Luxury stuff, if I have time, like if I'm doing a big house that's going to be a big seller or something, and maybe I'm only, if it's a 10,000 square foot house and I'm shooting like 20 or 30 photos only, and I have the time, I'll do like a whole day shoot and try to get that many photos. If I'm trying to get 60 or 70 images or something, then it's a slow paced camera. It's not like a Canon. the Canon is a very efficient workhorse. Like it's just reliable and everything. The Fuji is pretty tricky. It'll just start acting up out of nowhere sometimes. The connection doesn't always work perfectly, but the files, when you get them in the computer, it's unreal. So there's a little bit of a trade-off.
So when you shoot,
Go
with
ahead.
the Fuji and it's slower, are you shooting tethered, or do you just?
I haven't really shot with it tethered yet. I tried with the Cam Ranger, and they say that it works, but I cannot get it to work. So what I'm going to do when I try to shoot tethered next is I'm going to just connect it directly to my iPad Pro, and shoot through Capture One in the app. and see how
Monitor
that goes.
Plus.
Is it that one works good?
Yeah, Monitor
Is it-
Plus. You can control the camera, and it's just a simple $25 program, and it will take
Okay.
your files and your raw files and put it on your iPad. And
Is it wireless or is it?
No, it's wired.
Oh,
It
okay,
literally,
yeah.
it really just uses the USB-C ports for whatever device, and you can plug whatever USB-C device to your camera, and it just
Monitor
works.
Plus. I'm gonna go buy it. I always buy gear just to try it out anyway. So.
And just so everybody knows, I'm gonna try to put everybody's gear recommendations and apps and everything we're talking about in the description at the end of this video. I'm gonna try to put it all together. So if you guys are wanting all that, it'll be there once this video is all done. By the way, so what's your backup? If you're having problems with your Fuji, what's your backup camera?
I bring my R6 II with me everywhere, so I could always go back to my Canon, but I try to exercise patience and just breathe and then turn it on and turn it off and take the battery out. And if usually it gets back to working, but sometimes I'm just like, okay, screw it. And then I've had to just go grab the Canon before, especially when I first got it and I was trying to shoot wireless. And on a real estate shoot, dude, it's just like too much going on, and you got time and things to consider. So I couldn't fuss with it. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, for mine, I mean, besides the camera, obviously, I would say I have two. It's the 17 millimeter tilt with the 1.4 extender. So I get two lenses out of one, right? I'm using this a lot because in Vegas, there's a lot of homes that are have a lot of volume. So the 17 comes in handy to capture the volume. And then when I want to get into like tighter shots, I just throw in the extender and I'm good there to really get some nice, perfect compositions. Because with those vaulted homes and the ceilings and chandeliers, to get that without a tilt, you'd have to raise your camera up and all that kind of stuff, to get a nice balance. It's good. I like to get it in camera. I know I'm shooting with the 5 DSLR. So with that high megapixel, I can shoot wider and crop and it'll still look good. But I try as much to get it in camera if possible. But if I need to crop, I can. The 5 DSLR, the 50 megapixels, it'll save you in a pinch if you need it.
But according to Matthew, you don't need a tilt shift lens.
Take them.
No kidding.
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't need one. That's true.
No.
Yeah, that's true. You don't.
Oh, Gary, Monitor Plus might be only for Sony. So.
Oh.
But if you don't, but get cast cable.
I got a Cam 5 Plus that was supposed to be a wireless tethered thing, and don't ever buy that. If you're listening out there, don't get the Cam 5 Plus. It sucks.
Oh no! But no. Another software one is cast cable. Again, that is something that allows you to just hook up your iPad to your camera, to whatever camera, and it will do multiple camera manufacturers.
I'm gonna try that out.
I'm trying to answer this person's one question. They're asking if the link to. I'm assuming they're talking about Stephen Carlish's course. I've been looking on my phone. I cannot find it.
Just give him the phone. Just give her the phone number. His phone number.
Yeah. I know. I got his wife's number. You can call her.
Yeah.
Come on, Matt. Flex.
Just give him a shout directly. It's 555. The only reason I found it was he put like a Black Friday special, and the link was on his Instagram bio. But other than that, yeah, it's a little different.
REP space. What I'll do is I'll dig for that course link at the end of the video. I'll also put that in the description so you guys can have that if that is what you're asking about.
Yeah, I've been looking on my phone. It is. He's got plenty of information about his workshops, but that course is like a needle in a haystack for some reason.
So,
Real,
on to the next question, real quick. Go ahead, Gary.
I wanted to touch on one thing real quick, if we could.
Yeah.
My other piece of favorite gear that I haven't even got to try yet. At PMRE, I did the Brandon Barre workshop, and he showed us the 1200, the AD 1200, and I ended up buying that because the 600 wasn't giving me enough juice sometimes on these big houses. This would be killer for using on the silks too, Matt. Just saying. It's about $1,500, but I was doing the wattage like per watt price, and it's pretty much the same as the 600 or yeah.
Well, then in that case, let me show you this thing.
That's not a knife.
Actually, so I got the silk because I want to try this Fresnel lens. So this is a Bowens mount. Wayne's actually the one who introduced this to me. So this fits on my, I don't know where the hell it's at, but on my my flash. So it's a Bowens mount, and it's direct parallel lines that come out of here. So you don't get the headlight effect like a car where it goes up and down. It goes straight. So I'm curious with this and a silk, because this also has the ability
Focus.
to
But because it's a
Focus,
lens system,
dude.
this will actually give you up to 3 stops of power because it's focused. So
Yeah.
if you have a 400 or a 600, this actually will increase the actual output of the light because it's focused to probably two stops at the most.
So
but
the beam does not
how-
spread. The beam just stays.
yeah,
Okay.
How
So
much
that's
does one of
why-
those run?
Oh, that-
$150 bucks.
Yeah.
350.
Yeah. So what happens is
Okay.
when I'm using, I got that for when I use silks. So, but Matthew was saying about the direction of the light. When you have something that is focused, you can raise it, and you actually have directional shadows through silk because of the way the light travels through it.
I'm
Now
sure.
I gotta get something else.
I'm sure either Matthew or myself, we're gonna be making a video on that pretty soon. Or Wayne. Wayne should be the one who should be making it. So, all right, next question. If in 2025 you guys had one camera and one lens to use for the rest of the year, what would it be?
I know my answer.
Go for it.
Go for it.
I would still stick with my workhorse now is the Sony A7R4, and one lens would be the 24-70. I use my Sigma 24-70.
Mine would be the R3 and 16 millimeter tilt shift.
I would probably go with my R6 too, and I got the new 24-105 f4. I love that lens.
Isn't that the one's like $2,400?
No, that one's I think it's 1,200.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not a 2.8. I think the 2.8 one is.
Yeah, I think for me, my go-to will always be, I'll always go with the 5 DSLR because I can crop. The ability to crop and get out of a 35, a 70 or something if I need to make it look like that. So probably the 5 DSLR and man. See, because of volume, I want to say 16 to 35, but because I like tighter and compression, I want to say 24-70. So it's a balance for me between the two. But I think most likely it'll probably be a 24-70. I think that'll be the best of both worlds. If I had to choose one for the rest of the year.
Do you guys have the RF 24-70? Or I'm sorry, do you even shoot Canon, Fraser?
Yeah.
You shoot Canon, right? Okay.
Yeah, Canon.
So do you have the EF or the RF?
So as a matter of fact, right now I'm still shooting a DSLR, not mirrorless. So
okay.
You guys are all mirrorless, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When did you guys switch, and why did you guys switch to mirrorless? What was the reasoning when you guys switched? Or if you guys were always mirrorless, I don't know.
I switched when the R2 or the R came out, the Canon R. And ever since I was able to use in the viewfinder to be able to see the live exposure, and then there was something else I think that I went from a 6D or something like that, and having the articulating screen was insane to me. So ever since I went, I think the viewfinder itself was being able to see like live exposure was crazy to me.
You know what? I'm going to change my answer. I love what she said. I agree. I think my 24 to 105, I think that is my favorite lens because I get plenty of range in that to do a lot, and it's really good. So actually, disregard my 24 to 70. The 24 to 105 actually is a great lens to have all around.
We won.
My first mirrorless was the Sony A7 III, and I was interested in just kind of moving away from Canon because my camera right before the A7 III was a Canon 5D Mark III. So that was just a regular DSLR. I noticed the image quality was significantly better, but to the average person probably wasn't a huge difference, but I could tell a difference in dynamic range, image quality, stuff like that. But the other thing that drew me to the Sony A7 III was just the versatility of it too. YouTube videos, people were ranting and raving about it. And I think even to this day, people still regard the Sony A7 III as just a fantastic all-around camera. And at this point, if someone's looking to get into mirrorless, you could probably find one used for $1,000 or less.
Is that the one you use to do your videos at the at PMRE?
So that technically is a Sony A7C, but it's a clone of the A7 III. It just, the only difference is it's got a flip out screen. So it's kind of my backup, but because if I do want to use my Canon tilt shift, I have to use the Canon extender. So it's got the Metabones adapter. Yeah. So it stays on that the whole time.
And
so
what's your
my first mirrorless was the A6000 or the body before the A6000. So that was like what 8 years ago, 8 years ago that I started using mirrorless.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I had that one too. So mirrorless was a long time ago.
Yeah. I used that and did most of my real estate photography for years with crop sensor. And the reason why I went mirrorless is because as I was getting older, I realized that I cannot focus a wide angle lens on a DSLR. Simply can't. It all looks the same. So I needed the magnification and the live view of the screen. So as I said, yeah, mirrorless is the way. Whatever iteration is, I need to be mirrorless.
Man, I don't know. I just love my DSLR. I don't know. I guess I need to get one. Get it. The poll, I put a poll up, and 80% is mirrorless, 20% is DSLR right now in the audience. So that's interesting. But yeah, I guess
it's been like 10 years since they made
it. It'll probably be like I think Canon has the R2 now.
Yeah,
the R2, right? That's the newest one.
No,
or is it no R5 Mark II?
The R5
R5 Mark II. That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what you would want.
Maybe that's the one I'll probably hop on.
That one's the 50 megapixel one or 45 or whatever it is.
Actually,
my nephew gave me a 5D Mark II, just a 5D. That's just a classic. And since I have Canon lenses, I put it on, shot with it. As I look at I shoot, because it's DSLR, I shot it like a regular film camera. And as I came out looking at the pictures, the exposures were all screwed up because I'm so used to live view in my viewfinder that in the screen, it's like I didn't worry about the exposures that were coming up. So I'm like, oh yeah, I really need to use my mirrorless because I can't use the DSLR anymore.
Funny story. I was at a shoot recently and just talking shop with the homeowner, and I come back for Twilight, and I'm finishing up the shoot, and he comes up to me and he gives me this 35 millimeter 1.8 lens. He's like, here you go, you can have it. I was like, what?
I
was like, why? He's like, I don't really use it, and you seem like you like Canon, and I don't really have Canon, but I bought this, but I never use it. So you can have it. I'm like, shit, I can't use it right now because I don't have a mirrorless lens, camera. But hey, this is the first lens I got for it.
That's tight.
I know, it was one of those random things. I was like, I was walking in from outside to tell him, hey, your bulbs are broken. So he gives me the box. I'm thinking it's a bulb. I'm like, are you gonna ask me to change your bulb? And then it was the lens. I was like, oh shit, that was kind of cool. So Matthew, what's your backup camera on your shoots?
The backup is, so you know, the A7 R4 is my workhorse, but I do have the A7 III as the backup. So and there's been a couple times where I have had to use it. You know, you kind of have to hit the pause button on a shoot and go, okay, hold on 1 second. I've got to take the mounting plate off, take the Metabones adapter off, all that stuff. But yeah, so it's kind of like a secondary and a backup. So it's a multi-purpose. But yeah, and then if I'm ever doing any kind of video project, you know, I'll use my A7C, but then I'll you know, if I need 2 angles or something, I'll use the A7 III because it's an amazing video camera as well. So
what about you, Wayne? What's your primary and your backup?
My primary is I still use a 3, and my backup is a R3.
Sony.
Yeah.
Nice.
Matthew, do you image quality between the 4 and the 3, except for the image size, how much different is it image quality wise?
Hardly any difference at all. I you know, during shoots, I will alternate between the two. Believe it or not, occasionally I shoot with a tilt shift. So you know, when I do use the 24, yeah, the image sizes are about roughly 2/3 the size of this one. I've delivered them to clients for years. No one's ever said a thing. No one ever looks at them and goes, you know, oh, I can tell the difference. And whenever I deliver images to clients, I provide them 2 versions of each photo, the original size, and then I do I call them web social media friendly versions. And those end up all being roughly the same exact size. So no one ever tells.
That's cool.
The difference is indistinguishable to me.
Yeah. For me, so I do a mix of both real estate and A&D. So it's like I would say about 50-50 for each. For real estate, my go-to is my Canon 5D Mark IV. That's my workhorse. It's always worked good. And also for my team. So in case if a camera ever gets damaged or whatever, to replace a 5D Mark IV doesn't hurt you. You know, it's easy to replace versus like my A&D camera is a 5DSR. So when I go to my A&D shoots, my 5DSR is my primary, and then my backup's the 5D Mark IV if I need to. But that's usually my setup, and I know it's DSLR, but eventually then probably what's going to happen is if I go to mirrorless, then maybe the Canon R5 Mark II will be my primary, and the 5DSR will be the backup at that point.
You will not use it.
Yeah. If you're gonna, so this is kind of off topic, I guess, but gear wise, like if you're gonna outfit your whole crew, like you have a team of people to shoot, what camera like if you switch, what are you gonna end up putting them with? Are you gonna kind of upgrade them to mirrorless too, or are you gonna keep them on 5D?
I'm the one who's primarily doing the A&D stuff. My team is more for the real estate. They don't really get too much into the A&D. That's more me personally. Fraser Almeida does the A&D and real estate, but my team is focused primarily on real estate. So for them, 5D Mark IV is great, and actually their backup from the 5D Mark IV is a 5D Mark III. We have so many of those, just so their backup is a 5D Mark III, which for real estate is still good enough. Oh yeah, and for the way they shoot, it works. So, but for me, I think I'm the only one who really needs to worry about megapixels and things like that. So 5DSR as of right now, it's been great. It's worked good, but I am curious to bring on a mirrorless and just see how that works. So we'll see. Maybe 2025 is the year for me to go mirrorless.
Take your January money, buy a camera, Fraser. Jesus.
So Matthew and Gary, you're primarily doing A&D, right? Like it's not so much real estate, or Gary, are you doing some real estate too?
I'm kind of 50-50.
Okay, 50-50.
Yeah.
So
but I'm like you though, kind of in the luxury stuff more than the run of the mill stuff.
and same thing for you too, Wayne, right? You're pretty much 50-50 A&D and real
Yeah, but
estate.
being that I'm shooting a lot of luxury properties, it really is just this much different than shooting A&D.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you can't go in and just go corner to corner and just shoot the whole house in 30 minutes. So you'd have to take into account lighting, the room, the ambiance of the spaces, because when you're taking pictures of like 10 or 20 million dollar houses, a lot of real estate photographers will say the phrase, "I'm not there to take pictures of the furniture." But when you're talking about luxury things, furniture and all that other stuff is designed into the look of the house. So yes, you are taking pictures of the furniture. So you have to take all that into account when you're taking pictures of that space.
So let's talk about real estate, and then we'll jump into A&D. So for real estate, I know, Matthew, when you were doing a little bit of that before too, but for everybody, what was your go-to lens? You would say your primary lens you would use most of the time for real estate?
Canon 16-35.
Yeah.
Same.
Wayne?
It used to be 16-35, but when I do regular real estate photography now, I will use the Laowa 15 millimeter tilt shift lens. And here's the thing: a lot of the houses, even the smaller shelter homes that we do, is I have found that I don't need floor space. And when you're shooting, even with a 16 millimeter lens, which is relatively wide, what happens is when you place it, there's a lot of floor. So now with the 15, I just shift up, and I actually get more, less floor and more ceiling and more height and more kind of like depth to the room. So, and you can't. And if I'm using a 16 millimeter lens, I can't zoom out more to get more ceiling. So that's why I'm just using a straight 15 millimeter tilt shift lens and cropping it, if I need to get a zoom.
So 16-35 is the general consensus. Now let's jump into A&D. What would you say is your favorite go-to lens for A&D?
24-35.
Mine's 24-70.
I'd probably be on the 24 millimeter tilt shift.
Yeah.
I would say 24-70. Yeah, I think that would be my go-to, and to cheat with the extender, so I have a little bit of both if I need to. But yeah, I don't think I mean, it's very rare for me to go to a 16-35 for an A&D shoot, because I have my 17 tilts. But sometimes it'll come in handy if, let's say, time is a factor and I don't have time to to focus the camera and all and do things that the 16-35, it's just a quick, and I can get my shot. So I think that might be my secondary, but my primary would probably be a 24-70.
I would like to have the 24 with the 1.4 extender so I could get like a 35 equivalent, because I think a 35 millimeter tilt shift is what I need in my life. You know what I mean? Like
that's what I've been using, man.
Yeah, that's the best focal length, I think, for me.
I did a whole YouTube video on it.
Fire too.
So I actually bought an old Nikon 35 millimeter. It doesn't tilt. It just goes up. Just shifts. But this is a 35 Nikon and adapted to Sony, and it's awesome. So yeah. 35.
So have you guys upgraded anything major? I'll tell you one big thing I upgraded, which, oh my God, I can't believe I was using this. This beast of a weight, the Manfrotto 410 Junior. Jesus Christ, I can't believe how many years I was using this thing. Just I'm holding it right now, like, what the hell why is this so heavy? I even took this back. I sent it to Manfrotto, like, hey, your dials are way too, my thumbs are busting up every time I'm using this shoot. So thankfully I have a buddy named Wayne Capili, and he introduced me to my
I didn't introduce it. We didn't mean, it's actually me and Tony. We didn't introduce him to it. We just kept laughing at him. So he capitulated because he didn't want to be laughed at anymore.
Hey, so my go-to, yeah.
Put up that's a good. I mean, I don't want to tell you what to do. That's a really good question. That REP space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was reading that too right now.
Yeah, because that's a question I come across a lot.
I would say the 24 millimeter with the 1.4 extender will get you a long way.
Yeah. No, I was
Yeah.
going to say the same exact thing. Get to 24. Yeah.
But for the money, the 20 Lawa is awesome.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, how much? How much was that, Matthew? Is that like $1,100 or $900?
The layout one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's no more than 1,500.
Yeah, and it's sharp.
Yeah, yeah, it's again, it's another one of those lenses that you use. You hand it to a client, no one's going to look at it and go, "Was this Canon or was this layout?"
And real quick with that last question with the A&D focus stacking, I've never focus stacked with interior work or anything like that. If I shoot a f11 and I get a lot of depth of field from that, like critical.
What's the most narrow you ever shoot, Gary?
8. Oh, you mean the deepest? I usually just stick to 11. If I have to
like 24 millimeters, 35, 50. Are you ever shooting anything more tighter than 50 millimeters?
No, I think 50 is. I have the 45 millimeter tilt shift, and I love that thing too. So I think that's around 45, 50 is probably my top, unless I'm doing something out of the box, like a deep view shot or something like that.
Yeah, for interiors, I think if I'm ever going anything over 50, I start running into issues with focus. So ideally, I will use my 24-70, but try my best to never shoot more narrow than 50 unless I absolutely have to. But probably on average, I'm staying somewhere around 24 to maybe 40 to 45.
Yeah.
The only time I've ever done a focus stack is I've had some clients, like in Vegas, we have the strip view, and sometimes the home will be on a golf course and they want to show the golf course and the strip view, but you want to punch in. So when you punch in, something's going to sacrifice punching in, either the golf course or the strip. So I might focus stack that, to get a good golf course and a good strip view. So I have that, but it's very rare where I'm doing that. I mean, it's only in certain situations like that. Focus stacking, I think it's more common in, I would say, landscape photography.
And macro stuff.
Yeah, things like that. Yeah. Real estate, I don't really see that as a really common thing. So
no.
But that's actually one of the reasons. That's also one of the reasons why I switched over to mirrorless, because using a tilt shift lens. Normally, when you focus and when you go to working aperture with a mirrorless camera, you can actually now start focusing by the depth of field. So once you have it in focus, your primary thing in focus, you can actually look through and magnify. And as you play with the focus, you can actually see the depth of field traveling through the room. So you can actually have not only the area that you want selected in focus, but like if you wanted a little more foreground in focus, you can just turn it a little bit and you can actually see your foreground being in focus and in the area that you want. Of course, the background's going to be out about, but you can control what you have in focus, and you can see that with a mirrorless camera.
And there's also when I first started kind of getting my wheels about me with all this stuff, one of my teachers showed me there's a thing online or an app or whatever you can get. It's called a depth of field calculator, and you can set your focal length and the sensor size you're using, and then set your f-stop on there, and then you say how far in front of your lens you're focusing, so like 3 to 5 feet or whatever. And if I remember at f11, if you're focusing at like 3 feet at 17 millimeters, you're going to get basically from 6 inches to infinity of critical point of focus. So you can look on there and kind of see what kind of wiggle room you have. You can shoot at f8. Maybe you're only going to get like a foot to 50 feet, but that's still plenty of space for most interiors. So there's kind of, and then depending on your sensor size, that also changes that factor a lot. Like if you're shooting a micro 4/3 at f8, you're going to be able to get like a f16 worth of depth of field, like on a, so it just depends on what you're shooting with too.
Yeah. So back to what I was showing you guys earlier. So these are my 2 newest upgrades, which I love. So this is the Leo Photo. I think this is a GW, if I'm correct. And then this is I think the D4.
G4.
G4, G4 or D4?
No, D is the Arca Swiss wheel. The
yeah,
real Arca Swiss. That's a
G4.
knockoff.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, these are knockoffs, but man, the price for these. So if something ever goes bad, I mean, it's this is great for like to give to my team. So if they damage it, whatever, I can buy a bunch of these and have them as backups. But man, this thing, the G4, it's so light. Oh my god, you have that? Are you serious?
I got the big boy. Yeah.
Why? I mean, you know what?
The thing a few years ago, and I do need to get the Arca Swiss one.
Dude, either get the Arca Swiss or grab one of these, man. Your thumbs will thank you. I promise.
Fraser, how much are those ones, by the way? Because that's always a factor with the geared heads to me.
I'll tell you.
The
right
G4
now.
is $400, and the
That's
other
not
one
bad.
is $200.
Yeah,
Oh,
so I
that's
mean,
not bad at all.
you could buy a couple of these as backups. That's what I'm saying. I like buying gear that if something happens, I can just get another one easy and not have to break the bank.
Because the actual Arca Swiss one is roughly about what, $1,200 to $1,500, isn't it?
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
I get it if you're doing that only, but I'm doing real estate, and you know, in real estate, sometimes things are getting banged around, and I'm not, you know.
Oh,
And
yeah.
also,
So after I switched, I was buying like the cheaper $200 heads. I was probably going through 2 or 3 of them a year, because they start getting wobbly. I switched to the D4 last year, and that thing is a
amazing.
monster. I treat it the same as I ever did all the other stuff, and that thing is a rock. $1,200, I think it's worth it.
And
So
I have
also-
to,
Getting the actual Arca Swiss one.
Yeah, the D4. I would get the cube too if I was, you know, really trying. But the D4 has been great. So I mean, to save that much money, I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about Arca Swiss as a mount, regardless of the camera head is important, because like all my cameras have just a plate on it. And so if you can see here, I just have a base plate on all my cameras, so I don't have to use a plate to attach to my camera. So with my camera being really just secure, I never worry about my cameras falling off the tripods.
I love the L bracket, so that no matter which way you go, you can put the same plate on both those heads. So this is so key.
Here, I want to show you guys So have you guys used the rotating collar
Yeah.
yet?
Yes.
That thing is bad.
It is.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it mounts here, and then you can just turn your camera vertical like that.
So
It's
I
insane.
bought that.
So Matthew,
I
if you're
bought
doing
that, but-
videos, you just turn it to do vertical videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Now I know how to record my TikTok dances better. So yeah.
Well, this one's called, I think it's a small rig rotatable collar. So check that out.
But does that fit all your lenses?
I have one.
No.
Yeah. All of them go on here. Now the lenses,
Not all of them. I mean,
it goes in between. So if you're gonna open it up, it's just like this. Like,
I bought that from mine, and it worked great on the 16 to 35. But then when I had to change it from my other lenses, and I couldn't use it, so it was a pain in the ass. I had to take it off.
There is a lens range that it'll take.
Yeah,
and it won't. If you're using Sony, it won't work with adapted lenses because the adapter.
I wouldn't work with that.
Yeah. Well, I got one
do you
for
have
the
any
Fuji,
Sony
and
lens?
it's not as good as the Canon one is.
Do you have any actual Sony lenses?
Yeah.
No, I Sigma. Yeah, I rented. I think it was the 24 to 70 one time. I rented it for something, and in some downtime, I did like A/B tests between it and the Sigma. I mean, you got to blow it up insanely, an insanely large amount to even see any kind of difference.
And what is it? $800 difference between the two?
Not at all. So that's why Sigma's kind of my go-to. You know, like if I busted my Sigma 24 to 70, I just go buy another Sigma 24 to 70. So
Those things are
reliable. Image quality is fantastic, and yeah, it's hard to justify spending that much more for a name brand when the image quality is, depending upon the model, almost non-existent. So
yeah,
Matt, that's the art lens though, right?
I don't know. this is the one that I've been ranting and raving about, the 24. I don't know if it's the actual art lens because I bought it so long ago. I mean, it doesn't.
My buddy has a 24-7 art or 70 art lens, and that thing is nasty.
Like
in a good
not
way.
good.
No, in a good way. Sorry. It's bad.
You kids in your lingo these days.
Like Michael Jackson bad, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know for sure. I probably found out. I went through a video a long time ago where I just listed everything off and I did research. So I don't know. Look up my YouTube video. If it is, it's on there.
It'll be in the description after
Googling now.
So guys, let's put away cameras and lenses. When you guys are at your shoots, whether it's real estate or A&D, what accessories or tools are you finding yourself using all the time?
Cam Ranger.
Sunseeker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cam Ranger definitely for me. Are you guys using the second version?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still using the first one. That thing still works great for me. I mean, I don't know why would I need to jump to the second version. What am I missing?
I remember you said that. You know what I like about it, which your camera probably has it, but mine didn't at the time, is a front to back level on the app. Which that's cool. I don't use it anymore, but that was a cool thing. But I don't know what the difference is exactly. The
SD card.
Got mine out of necessity for it to talk.
Yeah.
20 cameras. That was it.
Yeah, the new one is a lot more expensive, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
It's an expensive piece of little gear, which I mean,
but the failure rate on it is horrendous. It's like I use it.
It's my second one.
Yeah, I use it. That's why I decided to go with either Cube, the apps that go directly to the iPad instead of using camera.
I'll be right back, guys. I gotta let my dogs outside.
Okay, let them in.
But yeah, the Cam Ranger.
I thought Wayne, you were using what did you say you were using? Monitor Plus or something?
Monitor Plus.
But that's your capture software, or
yeah.
So you don't use Cam Ranger then?
I do have it, but again, I use it reluctantly. You know, when I'm in using larger houses and I'm setting up lights and stuff like that, and Patty's not around, I will use the Cam Ranger, and I find that that it does, you know, it drops out, and I have to stop and have to reset it. You know, so I have not yet done a complete shoot successfully with the Cam Ranger where I didn't have to reset it.
Have you guys ever had a situation where you had your whether it's Cam Ranger or whatever you're using, and that just didn't work, and you had to default to the camera Wi-Fi to shoot? That's happened to me a couple times. But
I refuse to even set it up on my camera or on my phone. I just end up chimping it if I have to. Like I'm running back and forth at a 10-second timer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What about drones? Are you guys using drones a lot in your shoots?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Which ones are you guys using?
I got
Pro 3.
The Pro 3 Mavic.
Yeah, Pro 3.
Yeah.
But but on a whole, I'm actually just using the 2S because of the native megapixels. It's at 20. Even the 3, you know, it's 12, and it says it's 48 megapixels, but that's interpolated. So a lot of times I'll just use the 2S or a Mini 2.
Do you guys ever shoot indoors with the drone?
Oh, God, no. I don't trust myself.
No, I'm not that good of a pilot either.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay as a pilot, but I am not that good.
Yeah, I've crashed a lot of drones, and I don't want to do it inside a house.
Given the size of the houses that we shoot sometimes, isn't there times where you sit there and go, I could make it? This is with the big windows.
I've done it, but I don't do it.
Yeah, like I shot the inside of a casino recently, and the company that hired me wanted me to match their rendering, and because it was built differently, the only way to get it was for me to basically step off a ledge by like 20 feet. I'm like, man, if I flew a drone in here, I could get that shot.
I know we all have quick stories, but anybody got any wrecks with their drones?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I was bored during COVID, and I ran my first drone into my television, And
Oh my God.
and that I flew it inside. Yeah.
So you were upset that you had to replace your TV or your drone?
So the drone was actually okay. I was more upset not only by the TV busting, but the story behind it. Because it was just like I was an idiot. I ran my own drone into the TV. So yeah.
So
Fully
I think I could top that, but
you just don't want to go public with it?
My first drone was an Inspire 1.
Oh, good Lord.
It's this big, right?
Wow.
Yeah, and I had the mind of going ahead and going to my sister-in-law's house to fly it out from her backyard to try it out for the first time. And my father-in-law was there watching me because this thing is like a freaking Predator drone, right? So it's a big spectacle. Everybody's out the windows, and I'm outside. Take it off, and it just starts going like this, and I don't know what to do. And it freaking I just try to like land it, and it goes boom, crashes into the freaking where the balcony studs are coming down. It crashes into that, comes back, hits the house, and then eats shit on the ground. And I'm just like so embarrassed, dude. Like I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. And I just packed it up and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go do this at a park or something.
Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny that you're more embarrassed that you did it in front of your family as opposed to the monetary loss that you just had?
Yeah, the drone was fine. I think I like fucked the house up and stuff. Those propellers will like chop your hand off.
I'll tell you two quick stories. The first ever drone I had was, you guys remember the Phantoms, right? Where you'd put the GoPro camera on the bottom. So I had a video shoot for my client. We get there. I'm there with my client. My girlfriend was with me. I was like, oh, we're going to fly this drone. So we're in the backyard. I flew around, got the property shot, and I'm landing it. Right next to me is a pool. I'm like, I got this. I'm going to land right in front of me on the cement. No big deal. So yeah, drone's coming down. It's landing. Well, the feet on those things have a little bounce to it, right? So it's not like the new drones where it kind of stops, hovers, and goes down. It just keeps going until you stop it yourself. So I was doing that, and I didn't stop it slow enough. So it bounced off the cement and jumped into the pool. And
oh God!
It was the worst day. I still had to shoot the interior of the home. My client got me with the pool rig getting the drone out, and at the end of that, I told my client, you know what, we need to reschedule. Mentally, I am just not here right now. Can we reschedule? Yeah. He's like, yeah, no problem. But it was the worst. And then the second thing that happened. So you had the Inspire 1, I have the Inspire 2, and that thing I was very confident on. So one day I was at this luxury home. I'm flying it from inside the house, getting on my shots, getting some photos, and then I come in. There's the patio doors, and it has a big roof. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna have it come and park in front of me, and not have to worry about walking to it. So I come in under the roof line and get in front of the patio doors. It lands perfectly, but what I didn't realize is the patio doors had two screens, the fly screens or whatever, and they were just hanging off the doors. They weren't like really like fastened on there. So the wind of the propellers on the Inspire 2 were so strong that it took it off the whatever it was on, and the doors just slammed on top of my Inspire. You just see legs flatten out. I was like, what?
Oh my God.
This is what I get for being cocky. I was like, oh my God.
Every time, dude.
All right, Wayne, you're the last one. What do you got?
For a drone story?
Uh-huh.
And I have filmed my drones. I first had what were the white ones? The Phantom. I crashed it the absolute first day, and I sent it off, and they replaced it. And I haven't had a problem for the past few years. Last year, I was flying my drone off a house, and all of a sudden, it just started going back and forth, and then it started taking off. So I only had the control to bring it back, but it was back at full speed. So I had to crash it into the house. So it wouldn't go. So agent comes out, everything okay? I go, yeah, things are fine.
I'll let you guys.
Yeah, I literally had to crash the drone.
Do you guys have an answer for this? You guys would know.
I would say yeah. Yeah, I definitely see. I think was the 3 one of the first ones where they had
the multiple lenses.
Yeah, the multiple lenses, and then who's the company that bought them? That's got the Hasselblad, yeah. I think if you did side by side, you could probably tell a decent difference. I remember someone describing the Mavic 2 image quality as like if you had an iPhone 12 in the sky. Like it's good, but you can kind of tell it's a cell phone shot.
Yeah, I think the sensor is a little bit bigger on the 3, and then the other huge difference is that the 3 has multiple lenses and the 2 doesn't. So
Yeah,
you can get the like a 50 millimeter equivalent, which to me that picture, the difference of having to be able to switch lenses on the drone makes all the difference in the world in the picture quality to me.
Yeah. Hey, I like that other question. I'm going to answer this one real quick. What's the most strangest random gear? Yeah, it's not really strange, but I highly recommend this is getting some sort of multi-tool. These come in, or kind of a version of a Swiss Army knife. Very, very handy. A blade, Phillips, screwdriver, flathead, scissors, pliers.
Can you bring that on a plane in your bag?
Yeah. Well, no, I usually have to pack it. Yeah.
For me, along with what you have there, is this a lighter. Just keeping this has saved my butt so many times for lighting fireplaces at nighttime.
I've got a little electrical one, the ones that go tick 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 like that.
Oh yeah.
So mine is this. Does anybody know what this is?
It's in a box.
Yeah, this is how I keep my my cleaning cloths. So I buy a package of these, and I just keep these in my bag. So instead of that loose cloth that gets dirty, that's going to have that piece of dirt on it when you use it on a lens, I just have a packet of these and these are cleaning cloths.
My weirdest piece of gear. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say one little quick thing. It's kind of odd. It's not my bag, but I do keep in my cart is a roll of toilet paper.
Yeah, mine's more along that line. In my truck. It's not in my bag, but in my truck, I have one of those camping jugs. It's like a 3-liter jug in case I gotta take a whiz, and I don't have a bathroom around. I've literally, like, like when you're driving a long time, then you stand up and you're like, oh God,
yeah,
it's gonna happen right now, And so I grabbed one of those, and I'm like, if I have to, I'm gonna go sit back in the truck and handle that, because I don't want to have to like do it on the street in a $1 million neighborhood or whatever. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it hits you out of nowhere. I'm 40, so it comes out of the blue.
Everybody listening out there who shoots homes, make sure before you go drop a deuce, flush the toilet, make sure that thing works. Otherwise,
no. Make sure there's water in there, because you normally have one good flush.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, don't
make sure there's water.
If you're new, do not use the master bathroom, bro. Okay, use the guest. I've had that.
and this is one of those things that as a photographer, that don't you go into homes that you go into the bathroom and I'm like, how do I flush the toilet? There's there are these knobs, there's these pictures. I have somebody in Japanese telling me what to do. I'm like, which one just to flush the toilet?
Oh my God. All right, so let's jump into lighting. What's your favorite lighting when you're at your? I'm assuming let's say A&D for now, but I guess you can apply it to real estate too. But what's your favorite light you like to use for most of your shoots?
Like the unit?
Yeah, like light, brand, model, power. Like for me, my personal, if I could get away with my 300 watt light, it's light, it's compact, it doesn't break my back holding it up over my head. I have a 600, which if I need to, it still comes to my shoots, but if I only use that if I have to use it. Otherwise, if I can get away with my 300, that's my go-to most of the time.
I like my 300.
Is that the one that's kind of like a cylinder?
Mine is an AD100.
That's the one light I don't have, Wayne.
Yeah, that's what I got.
But I do have 9 of these.
Yeah. I thought those would be cool ones to like be able to put in back bathrooms and bedrooms and stuff, just to like kind of light it up real quick. But
yeah, and
just walking back there.
Put this on a softbox. This is actually the perfect light with the light on a stick. with, if you have the little octagon thing, you can actually walk around and just really perfectly light areas, and you don't have to be far away because the power is not really that much. So just to control light and put light wherever you need it.
Yeah, like the little light pools.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew, what did you say for yours was?
So, I mean, if if I can light up anything, ideally, if I could use my silk, would be awesome. But if someone told me you had to get rid of all your flashes except one, I would actually stick with the 400.
400.
Yeah, because
Is that the Pro?
It's pretty, 400 Pro. It's pretty powerful, but it's also not as gigantic as the 600. That 600 is a beast.
Yeah.
And I can still grip the 400 and hold it in awkward positions if I need to. But yeah,
and there are people walking around using Flambient with a 600. Good on you, but
all power to
oh
it.
my god!
I noticed this sounds really, really stupid, but long time ago, or maybe about a year and a half ago, I was I was at the gym, and in the locker rooms, there's mirrors on one side. I'm looking at my one shoulder. I'm like, oh, cool, I got some awesome definition. And I go to the other side, and it's like not there. And I'm like, what's happening? And I was always holding my flash in my right hand. So now I have to mentally tell myself, no, use the left too. But yeah,
you're looking uneven, bro.
Exactly. You gotta get that symmetry.
Yeah.
But no,
Photographer light workout.
Yeah, you hold that 600 for, if you're extending, that thing's got to weigh. I don't know, how much do you think, Wayne? It's at least 5 pounds. It's got to be more than that. The thing's a beast, but you hold it out there for 10 seconds.
Jesus, that's why I went for the 300, knowing that thing can do most of everything I needed to do. I'm like, I don't bring the 600 out unless I have to bring it out. Like, I'll raise ISO if I have to raise ISO or whatever. I'm like, I can mask those windows in. I don't need to get a hard window pull. That 600 is a backbreaker.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about
A&D work? I think that the 600. I'll use it more often, just because I'm using a huge light source, like a softbox or something. And the 300 ain't gonna go through a 7-foot umbrella or whatever. But maybe it'll go through it, but it's not gonna do a whole lot of work, I don't think.
Man, for most of the spaces, if I'm shooting, let's say, just a kitchen or just a living room, not like the full together, a 300 for me, adjusting with settings and whatnot, I can do a lot with that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just pushing.
And you have to fight. You got to fight bright sun out there too, right?
Oh yeah. But I can controlling the highlights. I can do that after. It doesn't have to be controlled 100% in the primary shot where I'm trying to determine lighting and mood and all that kind of stuff. As long as that's somewhat controlled. If I need even a more of a pull, then I can do that as its own separate thing. I don't have to kill my light or overpower the sun that much, because I still want some detail, but I just don't want blown out window. That's all. What do you guys think about Pro Photo? Thoughts on brand lighting with Pro Photo?
I love Pro Photo, but it's like, I can't spend $500 or $400 for a controller. Can't.
No. I feel like what you spend on Pro Photo, you could buy like 12 AD whatevers, and I just don't see the difference that much. Especially now that Godox is gonna come out with the Pro, like the color consistency is a lot better. I think that was what Pro Photo's biggest draw was before, was the color consistency throughout the whole range of power. But
also the thing about Pro Photo is its interface. You can't not love the interface where it's just, this big number and all the 2 dials. Yeah, the interface is really nice on Pro Photo.
To me, it's like, if you have a Toyota. I'm sorry, Wayne, what was that? Say that again. Next time you cough, can you cough louder into the microphone? If you had a nice Toyota as your commuter car, it's like, do you need a BMW? Do you need a Mercedes? Like, no. If you're getting by with the car you have and it's a nice car, it's like, yeah, why not? I do, if I had a spare, I don't know how many tens of thousands of dollars lying around to spend on pro photo, maybe, but like you guys mentioned, the other brands, specifically Godox, just kind of keeps upping their game. And when it's a fraction of what even it's kind of equivalent to what pro photo is, it's hard to justify that spend.
Yeah. No. And for me, or for the people out there who have teams, like pro photo for a team, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, the off market, the Godox, the Flashpoint, whatever that is, those work great. They really do. I mean, and they're, like I said, if something goes bad, it's not that much to get another one. You know, you have a couple backups of those. It's great.
I've had to buy an AD200 probably. I've replaced them 10 times. I drop them, and I mean, it's just something I have to buy all the time. But with a pro photo, I would be afraid to take that thing out and actually use it. Like, it's gonna be several grand that falls on the ground, and I have to buy a new one. It's like, and then even their light modifiers, they're like proprietary, and they're super expensive too.
That's a good point too.
Yeah.
Are you guys doing? I know you guys light a lot in the interiors, but for like dusk or twilight shots, are you guys lighting your exteriors too, or are you just primary ambient with whatever is there?
I light them, but I use AD100 on a stick and just run around.
I don't flash anymore for the outside. I used to. I mean, if push comes to shove and I need to kind of embellish some of the light that's coming out of the windows, maybe, but I rarely do that. Now I'm putting more emphasis on getting the timing right to get that perfect, somewhere within a 5-minute window of capturing that exposure. So lighting for exteriors, not so much anymore. I used to a few years ago, but trying to get more natural light now.
Yeah, I love this little guy. This thing comes in handy for my twilight. So if you can see, that thing packs a punch, right? So this thing lights up a whole house. This is the light I was talking about at PMRE that I was using to do that front twilight. So this thing, man, I love embellishing the light that's from the home coming from the house, rather than flashing the house, accenting the directionality. This thing works really, really good. I'll put a link for this in the description as well.
How much is that?
This one, I think it's about $350 to $400, something like that.
Woo. Yeah. Oh, it's one of the. It's a torch, huh?
Now the unfortunate thing for everybody right now is when I bought this was being made from a different manufacturer, and he put color corrected LEDs inside here to be the exact color of most tungsten lighting for the outside and all that kind of stuff. So this balances 100%. The new lights of this it's a cooler color temperature, so you'd have to fight the color balance in post. Whereas here, I get it all in camera, and they don't make this no more. Like you'd have to find someone who can change out the LEDs to the warmer color temperature. But man, I was lucky when I got this one.
If I was gonna get something like that and use it for specifically lighting twilights, I would cut a gel to fit that bulb, that lens, and just tape it on there permanently.
Yeah.
Well, it's so hot, it'll just melt itself onto it once you turn it on.
You'll burn the lens. I mean, it'll catch fire.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
That's how hot you can get. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
That much light to be that bright. It is.
I don't mean like multiple. I mean, I'm talking about your first time trying it with the gel. It'll catch fire. Like,
how long does it take you to cook a steak if you shine it?
Oh, man. Dude, like I learned the hard way. Like this thing, it's great at full power, but I may have to wear gloves or wrap my sleeve over it because it'll get hot.
Is it battery operated like double A?
Yeah, just USB-C. Really? It just charges right here.
So it's a rechargeable battery inside.
Yeah, rechargeable.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
nice.
That's wild.
And it has different power intensity, so it's not full. You don't have to go full power. Okay. This is cool too because let's say I'm doing a twilight and a bedroom has a light from the front. The light's off or no light at all. I'll just throw this on in the bedroom at full power. Go to the front and shoot it, and it'll cool. Easy.
Nice.
He has to run into the house and put the bedroom out that's now on fire, but.
Yeah, no.
Works out well.
No, at the regular settings, it's fine. It's just at the full blast. Oh my god, it gets hot.
Wow.
Let's jump into workflow really quick. Are you guys using AI as far as workflow in you guys' stuff as of today? In regards, maybe not just workflow as on post, but maybe prior to post, like or anything at all. Is AI a part of your workflow right now?
I've
Just
actually
the
used
AI.
I use it for
Oh.
a couple of proposals that worked out pretty well.
Proposal like ChatGPT?
Yeah. So
Mm.
what happened was they gave me the specs and what they wanted. So I wanted more specific questions and how I was going to deliver it. So it came out with a much better questionnaire to give to the clients so they can give me much better answers on what I'm supposed to deliver.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think using it for writing emails and stuff is great. But as far as like processing or anything, the generative fill and all that stuff now, the Photoshop AI remove tool is
Yeah.
crazy. And the one that's in Lightroom now is
Mhm.
actually, I like that one better than the Photoshop one now. I think the remove tool in Lightroom is great.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been using AI quite a bit. I got I do the whatever $20 a month ChatGPT plan. I mean, like the other guys, I use it for editing, removal, and replacement stuff like that. But it's really coming in handy with just a lot of different scenarios where you just need some sort of input from some other entity
Yeah.
that you know how to word emails, respond to things a certain way. I've got one specific GPT that I created that's a copyright expert. And then I've got a different GPT that helps me craft emails, and suggestions that's more in my tone of voice. And occasionally, if I need to reply towards something that's copyright related, I have them talk to each other to reply. I mean, it's awesome. So um, it's like having a business partner, an
Yeah.
advisor there. It's
Mhm.
great. The answers aren't perfect. It's never going to sound exactly 100% like you, but it's literally like having an administrative assistant who's been around you for years and can take a pretty educated guess in figuring out how to craft something that sounds pretty similar to you. You might have some tweaks, but and also someone who's an expert in certain fields. It's like, hey, you know what? I want a clause in the contract that does this, this, and this. How could I word it? Put a clause in the contract to make it sound professional. Boom, there you go. There it is.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. Oh, and the another cool thing when it comes to the copyright stuff is when you have companies who give you like releases or long contracts and stuff. I just copy and paste the whole thing. I put it in there. I go look through this, and as a freelance photographer who wants to protect my rights, it's like, are there any red flags in this? And it's let me know. It's like, yeah, here's one or two, and you might want to ask them to rephrase this. So
yeah, you can. With I think ChatGPT, you can take a transcript of, let's say, a book or whatever, a video or something, and pop it in there and say, "Can you summarize what this whole thing's about that is relevant to me?" And it'll summarize the whole thing for you, so you don't have to read everything or watch the whole thing. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I've actually used it to. I kind of been retooling my website a bit, and when I was going through and kind of like doing like new blurbs or like new captions or whatever, I'll screenshot the whole page, scroll down, screenshot it again, whatever I can't get, load it into ChatGPT that I'm working with at the time so it knows what's going on, and just be like, this is where I'm at. Like, what do you think? And it's like, oh, you did this part great. And it'll tell me to change. It'll analyze the photo, all the words in the photo, everything, rephrase things, tell me what would look better. I mean, it's pretty powerful.
Man, for social media, I love it because I'll have, let's say, an image or a post I want to put up or a YouTube video or an Instagram thing, and I'll just run it through that. Like, hey, this is what it's about. Can you give me a description to post up? And it'll even give you hashtags. Like, can you give me hashtags relevant for this? And it'll throw it all at you. And man, it's just ridiculous how the technology with where it's at right now.
Yeah.
So what are you guys before we jump into software? What are you guys' favorite apps you guys are using on your phones? I know for me, definitely Cam Ranger, number one, and I would say number two. I don't have Sunseeker, but I have it's called SunPath Demo. It's another Sun app. What are you guys using for your favorite apps on your phone?
I use Sunseeker too.
Sunseeker and Lightroom.
I think
on your phone, Lightroom.
Yeah, absolutely.
I use Sun Surveyor. I think that's what that is. I think it pretty much does the same thing. It's got a cool. Do you guys have kind of the augmented reality thing where if you look at
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of been a thing that I look really cool to my clients. When like, well, 215
it honestly, it really does impress them.
Oh
It
yeah,
really does. Yep.
Like, oh, I hired the right guy.
They're like, wow, this guy really cares. And you're like,
yeah, for real.
Yeah, and then you realize I'm just
Say
trying
the
to get
game,
signal.
bro. Yeah.
Oh, I'm trying to figure out where the moon is right now.
Like, excuse me, are you taking photos with your cell phone? No, I'm looking at the sun.
I have an app called Magic Hour. It's purple. It basically just tells me based on my location where, what time sunset is, when magic hour is based on the lighting, stuff like that. See if I can find it right there. It probably is most of the information that's in Sun Surveyor. It's just a simple dumbed down version. So and it tells you like what angle the sun is at right then and there. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Besides real estate and A&D, sometimes we get those beautiful comets and asteroids and all that stuff that happens throughout the year. So I like using Stellarium. I don't know if you guys have heard of the app, but it's a cool app to tell you where all the things are in the sky, whether it's a Milky Way or a certain comet coming in. It'll tell you where it's at. And just like your sun demo, you can do the augmented thing, and it'll tell you where it's at in the sky, so you know where you need to be at to line it up with your composition and get the comet trail and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty cool.
One app that should be on everybody's phone is Drone Scanner. So you can actually see all the drones that are around you or are flying around your house and stuff like that. So when I take off, I will check to make sure that if I'm flying, I just want to see if there are other drones flying around.
What's it called? Drone what?
Drone Scanner.
Drone Scanner. Cool.
Yeah. So what happens is when they came up with the RFID thing that you needed to, broadcast your identification for a drone. This is the software that allows you to see what drones are in the air.
That's pretty cool. So then jumping into software, what are you guys, when it comes to post-production, what's your go-to for your editing?
Bridge.
Only Bridge?
No. That's, I mean, as far as interface goes, I have Lightroom on my phone and on my tablets because when I'm shooting, since I'm shooting tethered, the images will go onto the either camera, will go onto the iPad or my computer. And since Lightroom Mobile is on them, they will take those images and put them up into the cloud and sync them down to my computer, so the images will be on my computer when I get back to the office. Or if I want to work on them on another computer, my home computer, I have access to those images. But the actual digesting and putting everything together, I use Bridge.
Interesting.
I use Lightroom and Photoshop for my main processing, but something that's new for me is I just got into using Lumenzia, the plugin for Photoshop, to do my selections and stuff. I love that app. It's so good. Yeah.
That's kind of like Raya Pro or something similar.
Yeah. I think I had Raya Pro before, and I think I like Lumenzia's interface better.
And the controls are better in Lumenzia. The intermediate tones.
Yeah, I just do all my blending manual. I just do the apply image approach, and then I adjust it from there. It works pretty good, but maybe Lumenzia, maybe I'll give that one a try and see. Because I tried Raya Pro before too. It was okay, but I don't know. I felt I could just do it with the manual way and still get good results. So
Lumenzia's the selections that it can create from the luminosity levels is unreal. It has such crazy categories, and then the way it's laid out is just so fast, and it's really useful.
I'll have to give that a try. What about you, Matthew?
Yeah.
Real basic, import into Lightroom, adjust the raw files accordingly, and then send it over to Photoshop.
Is it Wayne, correct me. Is it Lightroom mobile or is it just Lightroom online? One thing I love using is I think it's I guess maybe it's mobile, but where you can create the proofing sheets for your clients.
Yes.
Is
Yeah.
that mobile or is it
That's
both.
on. It's well, it's not on Lightroom Classic.
It's not classic, it's a mobile or the web version, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I did that. I had a shoot for at the Venetian here inside at the Venetian shops, and I did that for my client. I gave them the Lightroom. I put all the images there, and they were able to comment and select all the images, and I got it back. It was so cool. I was like, man, I'll just keep doing this from now on.
Yeah, I like that feature too. That's the only reason I have the regular Lightroom, actually, is to use it like that.
Mm-hmm.
I use Lightroom Classic for my processing.
Well, the thing about Lightroom, and the reason why I use Bridge is because I will actually do a lot of post processing, like at home on my laptop. And what happens is when you put your images into Lightroom, it copies them and puts them into a directory, and you have all this bloat on your computer because of the Lightroom catalog. Where Bridge is just a viewer, and I can actually take the files, make the corrections, and then Photoshop will read those. Photoshop and Lightroom, because you have it on my iPads, will read all those corrections. So I just use Bridge, so I don't have that much. I have more disk space on my hard drives. I mean, my laptops when I work.
Cool. Now, really quick, guys, without getting too in depth, workflow on site. What's your go-to? Like, meaning, like when you get to a shoot, whether it's real estate, whether it's A&D, is it okay? First, a quick walkthrough with your client. Let's just say when you want to shoot a scene, not the whole house, but just a scene. Is it okay? Composition first, and then adjusting things to taste, then figuring out scrims and light and all that kind of stuff. What's your process for? Let's just say you're shooting a kitchen or a living room or something.
I find the key light, and then I'll make adjustments accordingly.
I usually go through and do my fine tuning and kind of just assessing the scene, like walking it and trying to get in every angle that I think would be a potential composition and see how that looks and see how the light's working. And then I try to go around and, I mean, for real estate shoots, I'll walk the property and go through and line all the chairs and the faucets and try to get all the micro staging done in front of the clients so they can help with it. And then they also see, like, this is what you're paying for. Like, most people aren't doing this, and but yeah, I usually get the scene all tidied up so that way I can kind of have a fresh, clean thing to look at, and then start kind of focusing on whatever I got to do as far as light and composition goes.
What about you, Matthew, when it comes to for your A&D stuff?
So for A&D stuff, if someone's got a project to shoot, initially what I'll try to do is, if it's local here in Kansas City, which most of the jobs are, try to see if they're open to some sort of walkthrough, some sort of scout beforehand to at least get a feel for what I'm dealing with. I did a walkthrough on a project about, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we're not going to shoot it until probably 2 or 3 weeks from now.
Mm-hmm.
But it just gave me an idea of what it is we're shooting, what direction the house faces, rooms that are of primary interest, and how the light will change throughout the day, stuff like that. So now I know what I'm dealing with. And then you also get a feel too for how many shots the client wants, particular things they really want to show off. You're almost kind of like, if they're not divulging it, you have to play therapist sometimes to try to get this information out of them. What things would I be remiss? If we shoot the living room at this angle, depending upon how wide or narrow, what things would I be remiss if I didn't capture? Like, well, clearly you got to show off the beams. Like, okay, got that. Just little things like that. So, yeah. And then if workflow wise, if that cannot be set up, we cannot do a scout day. I will try everything to find out, do you have any cell phone shots of place? Can you give me the address so I can at least look up, on Google Maps, what direction the house faces, things like that. If they don't have anything on that, worst case, I say, well, hey, what time do you want to start shooting? They say, well, let's, if we could start shooting around 10, that'd be great. Okay, cool. How about I show up at 9:30? Then we take a half hour and just do a walkthrough of the place. And that way we come with shot lists, what angles you, stuff like that, trying to condense all that to maybe just a half hour. Just
But
something.
that's really important also, is a shot list.
Yeah. Because there are still some photographers who kind of the spray and pray. And I say, no, what I'd rather do, I'd rather give you more quality over quantity. I only want to spend time on the photos that for sure you're going to want. I said, if I set up a shot and you're looking at the Cam Ranger and you're just not loving it, let's move on. Like, I don't want to waste my time shooting it. If you're on the fence, whether you're going to even use it in your marketing or website portfolios, like, we'll move past it. You know, I only want you paying for shots you really love. So, and I always tell people beforehand, I go, that way we're all on the same page on the number of shots you're going to end up with. There's no surprises at the end, and people enjoy that. So, yeah, by that time, once we've done all that, then I will start unloading the car. You know, bringing the equipment, setting it up, trying to find out, you know, the order of how to shoot a space if we're shooting multiple rooms, things like that. So,
So Matthew, do you have a basic kit when you go to your car and it starts unloading? You know, do you immediately start bringing lights in and everything, or have you assessed that space that you're about to shoot, going, this is all I need now, or do you bring everything in?
No, I try to assess first. You know, because I don't want to. But when I'm done with the shoot, I'm done. And so I do not want to grab all the equipment and just, I don't know, there's just something mental for me when I'm done. I wish I could pay $100 just to load the car up for me, or I could just drive off and they bring it back to my house. Like,
oh my god!
So the less equipment I can take out of my car, the better. I'm not one of those guys that I used to think it was cool to unload all your equipment, to be like, hey, here's what you paid for.
And opening the store in your garage.
Yeah. Like, look at all this cool equipment I have, and I may not touch hardly any of it. So yeah, I only want to bring out what I absolutely need.
Yeah, for me, with real estate, when I'm shooting luxury, most of the time it's a quick walkthrough with the agent. These are the details I want to focus on. These are the finishes that are important. This is what the lifestyle is for the home, and the key points that I want to promote. So we'll talk about that, and then after that, they let me do my thing, and it's free reign from there for me to get the compositions. For A&D, it's usually primarily the scout. The scout's what gives me the shot list of what needs to be captured, and then on site, as far as bringing equipment in, I've already determined that at the scout, so I know based off of what I assessed at the scout what lighting I'm going to need and whatnot, and then I'll go from there. And then even then. For most of my interior designers, they like to just give me free reign. Like, once they've told me what areas and stuff they need shot, they don't want to be over my shoulder. They're like, I trust you. You're the professional. Unless it's something that they specifically need for, whether it's a contest or whatnot, then that's a little bit different. But if it's just to capture their work they created, most of the time they just let me kind of get free reign, and I go about and get the compositions based off of, let that scout.
Yeah, and really part of the assessment when I do have the luxury of doing a walkthrough, and the reason why I do use Sunseeker is I want to make sure that, where the light's coming in at particular times. So knowing what the light's going to look like in particular rooms, it makes it that much easier that I know that, you need like this shot, but we need to shoot this at 9 o'clock in the afternoon. The living room that we're going to do, I know that it's on the list, but we need to do that later on in the afternoon. So it gives you, having that kind of structure and knowing how the light is in particular rooms, it actually makes it easier, and you'd have to use less equipment to get the pictures done.
You guys want to take a go at this question? Do you guys charge for your scouting?
Yes.
It's not itemized, so yes and no. I don't typically scout unless I have a contract. And I figure my scout time, it's included in my day rate anyway. So generally people will pay 50% of the estimated total shoot up front. And so, it's kind of built in. Here in Kansas City, every project is about half an hour drive. So, if I've got the time, I'll check it out. I did a shoot recently where it was a commercial project. It was inside this gigantic warehouse. There's no natural light. So lighting wise, I knew what I was dealing with. And they're like, well, it's 45 minutes away. I'm like, do you want to come by and check it out? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I know what I'm dealing with that. So, it's basically a camera and a tripod. That's about it. So, the short answer is yes, I charge for it, but it's built into my day rate and photo shoot fee. Cause I don't know, sometimes people get weird when they see everything absolutely itemized out. It could be the same price, but if they see everything itemized, they start nitpicking, what you're essentially charged for. So I just built it in.
What about you, Gary?
I have a caveat. I will charge a scout fee if they don't hire me.
Yeah.
Can you let them know that beforehand though?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's what I mean. So like, this is a consult and this is how much it costs. And if we do get hired, that's just, that's to be included into the price of this shoot.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a good idea.
What did you say, Gary?
Mine's kind of built into my day rate and everything too. I don't know. I kind of just look at it like it gives me time with them, and if it's an issue, I won't charge for it. I don't really care.
Yeah. For me, I typically don't charge. Like I said, I bake it into everything else because the last thing I need is for them to say no. Because especially if it's a new client, like, oh, you're going to charge me just to see it. Like, sometimes it may rub off wrong depending on who the client is. I don't want to deal with that. So like I do lots of just walkthroughs with the client. Like I just did one at the Waldorf out here, and they wanted to talk about a project that they're doing. So I was like, yeah, I'll meet you out there to see the job and see where it's at right now. I know it's not going to be finished for like another month out, but once it comes to shooting time, yeah, you could bake that in and just make things easier. I think for the client, the relationship, it makes it feel like you're doing them a favor. Like, yeah, I'm going to come out there and meet you, introduce myself, and then we'll take a look at your project. And there's no like time constraint. Sometimes I feel like if you're actually going to charge for scouting, like, okay, so what am I getting for your scout? Yeah, I don't know. Like, I just feel like it's easier to not charge that and just put it into your overall cost.
Well, and the irony is that, a lot of people who are claiming for a new business say, man, I would really love to have an in-person meeting. Well, that's what a scout is. Mm-hmm. So, it's a huge advantage for you as the photographer. Yes, you get an idea of what it is you're potentially going to shoot, but it's a chance for you and the potential client to make a connection, exchange ideas, questions. You get a chance to look professional. You get to know each other. And, the time that they took to set up a walkthrough is also time out of their schedule too. So even if they don't hire you, which does happen, and I've had it happen before, is if they hire someone else and that photographer wants to do a scout, they got to do this all over again. So not saying it's a guarantee, but if they have you do a scout, you're pretty darn close to getting that job. Again, it's not a guarantee. There's always stories where you scout something and they never hire you again. But you're way further ahead in the game than if just sending like a cold email or a call.
Yeah. So guys, to start wrapping things up, if money wasn't an issue, what's one thing you would love to add to your camera bag or just arsenal of tools in 2025?
I've been having my eyes on the 30 millimeter tilt shift for the Fuji.
30 millimeter, interesting.
I think it's a 30 millimeter, but it's an equivalent of a 24 millimeter, but it's like a $4,000 lens.
Huh.
Brandon Barre had one at the workshop, and it's a monster. So it looks cool.
And that's important.
Yeah.
I would like to get a Gibson ES 330, and if that would fit in my camera bag, does that count?
I want a jet.
A big stack of cash.
I don't want to fly commercial again if money was no object.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. It's like related to gear. I think at a certain point you start to become content with what you have. Yeah, there might be something that makes something a little easier. You're like, oh, okay. My tripod head. Yeah, it's a little cumbersome, but I'm not in desperate need to get one, so I'll eventually get one if it's if it's kind of a convenient time. I've got the extra cash to spend, but it's everything else. Yeah, if I got to travel for a job, I want to fly first class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
because equipment wise, if there's something out there that I really need, I probably would have it. Price would not be the deciding factor of it. So gear wise,
This is imaginary question, guys. Come on.
a jet. See, I want a jet.
So, guys, last question for and this.
Wait, what about you, Fraser?
Oh, for me, shit. That's a good question to myself now. Maybe mirrorless and the full set of mirrorless lenses, right?
Yeah.
That would probably be what because I know like those are pricey. Those lenses are really expensive. So if I were to have something, it would be maybe the what would you say is the best one? The Canon R5 Mark II. That's the newest one, right? So maybe jump into mirrorless and then get all the full set of lenses for that go with that, because I know the
like
sharp
all of them. You want all the whole series of lenses, whether you're going to use them
lenses,
or not.
like 16 to 35, 24 to 70, 72 to 100. The trifecta, right? So whatever the main three is, right?
Like when you go to the product page and there's all like 70
600
variations.
Give me all that. It's imaginary, right? I want it all. I'm gonna have it in my background of my videos now. I'm gonna have that full all those lenses.
You're gonna have that poster. He's gonna have X's on the ones that he doesn't have.
All right, guys. Last question to finish things off. For both A&D and real estate, what would you guys recommend for people out there who are wanting to jump into this industry? What's the bare minimum they need to get into it, to get started, to start, making money into this industry? Let's start with real estate. What do you guys recommend is the bare minimum you need between gear, software, things like that?
Medium format. I mean, just it's A6300 with a 12mm Rokinon lens.
12, just one focal length.
I'm using a 15 now. Yeah, I actually used I used a 6000 with a 18 for years. And
well, to get into real estate, for me, I think you can still use a DSLR. You don't have to go mirrorless and spend all that money. So I think a 5D Mark IV, even a 5D3. I mean, I was using that for the longest time. If you really don't have money, you can go with a 5D Mark III or 5D Mark IV as your camera body. And honestly, a 16 to 35 will do a lot. You'll get a lot with that. And then obviously a good set of tripod legs and a gear head. I know there's ball heads out there, but really I think a gear head is what you need if you really want to get into this industry as far as shooting. And then for real estate, obviously Lightroom and Photoshop, simple, call it a day, and you're good there.
You don't even need Lightroom. Just use Bridge. I'm assuming that for a real estate photographer coming in now, that they are going to bracket and send out. So the load for expensive software or editing software, you can use it to make corrections. But I see a lot of people just sending it out. And by the way, this is one thing that I wanted to say about our talk, that, and this is an alarming thing that I've been seeing on the boards. Whenever people show pictures on boards and everybody's commenting on the pictures, how many times now are people saying, "That's a beautiful picture, Matt. Who's your retoucher?" So that's something that we should.
They are asking that or not asking that?
No, but that's what I mean. A lot of people, when people see really good pictures on the boards now, they'll ask who the retoucher is.
Oh, gotcha.
So I'll let Matthew and Gary finish it off with A&D. If somebody wants to get into A&D, what would you say is the best starting off equipment and software and whatnot to jump into that field? Maybe even accessories too, if you want to add that into there.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I'm a big advocate of Cam Ranger, so I'd use that because you're going to want to tether somehow. You don't necessarily need it, but because I think every camera manufacturer has their own kind of native version of it, but I don't know. Cam Ranger seems to be a decent go-to, although it's not perfect. I would definitely get a full frame camera, and maybe even buy used. Buy used, or if you want something with versatility, you could probably survive for a while with a 16 to 35. I've always been a big proponent of, if you're not sure about full-fledged buying something, rent it for a while and try it out first. Yeah, if you end up buying it, yeah, you might waste $100, $150, whatever it costs to rent it. But if you don't like it, then you spent $150 to find out that you didn't need to waste $1,500. So good solid tripod, for sure. That is one area to definitely drop a good chunk of change, is your tripod. You will beat that thing to death. Everything else besides that, I think you start delving into style. What's someone's style? If someone wants to shoot completely natural light, then there's not necessarily a big need for modifiers and stands and all that stuff. You could buy fancy cloths to flag light, or you could just cut up a trash bag. I did that for a very long time. So yeah, I think, good camera, full frame, good glass, good lens, and a good tripod. And I don't know, man, you can do a ton just with that.
Yeah.
I think I agree with Matt on most of that stuff for A&D. I feel like, I don't know, I don't think a lot of people are going to be just trying to jump straight into A&D type of work and just totally skip over real estate. So I feel like anybody that's going to try to get into the design side of things is going to have a little bit of knowledge of like gear and where what they need and what they're going to try to accomplish or whatever. But as far as gear starting out, with real estate and stuff too, I was going to say, I used to have a Lumix camera, and the Micro Four Thirds sensors and glass are actually really cheap compared to getting full frame stuff. So if you like, I had a team before, and to outfit them with a bunch of Lumix stuff was relatively inexpensive. But I wouldn't say Micro Four Thirds is not going to work for A&D. I would definitely go full frame, and I would try to get into like L lenses. The coatings and stuff on the higher end lenses are going to be better. I don't think the body is something you'd have to be overly concerned with. I think your glass is what you're going to want to focus on for when you're starting to upgrade and kind of get into the better image quality.
That's cool. Yeah, I think you're right. I think jumping into A&D, I don't think it. I would say it's pretty rare, right? Or is it common for someone to just start in A&D, or do you think it is usually coming in from real estate? I mean,
I think a good chunk of them will make that transition. They'll start in real estate. My perspective, it's a little rare if someone just initially goes into A&D. Usually if they do, they started off in some other genre and have good connections with that industry.
Right.
Like
or they're like a cabinet designer or something like that, or like, interior work with some.
So someone
like
says,
that.
hey, I was at an architecture firm for 10 years and I did photography as a hobby, and then I just hopped right into shooting for architects. Well, of course, you had a gazillion connections in that industry. So, no wonder.
That sounds like how it would happen to me too. I don't think otherwise it just doesn't. I don't know. Those paths don't connect that way.
Yeah, I think for a majority of people, real estate is a good ground. If the end goal is to eventually get into A&D or integrate it into your business model, real estate's a good way to figure out, from equipment wise, what you need, what you don't need, and you find out what you thought you needed but you don't. So, when I first started in real estate, I bought so many things that I thought I needed and probably are still sitting on a shelf collecting dust.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a thing before we go. When we're talking about what lenses that you need, everybody that's using a zoom lens, open up your window in Lightroom or Bridge or whatever, and go to the little window that says the focal length that you've been using for the shoots, and see how much variations you've actually used that zoom lens for. A lot of times, it's going to be the widest or the 35. So every once in a while, use the 24 and you step in, but The large majority of the pictures that you take will be the widest that your lens goes and the biggest magnification. So if you want to know what lens that you need, do a self-assessment and look at your focal length usage of a normal shoot.
It maybe try to get that version as a prime.
Yeah. Or a tilt shift. That's what I mean. It's like a lot of people that are using, like a 16 to 35, most people will be shooting at 20 millimeter. So getting a 24 millimeter tilt shift lens would be perfect.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that is it. Thank you all so much for being a part of this today. I think it was really cool. A lot of good stuff, a lot of good information. I'm sure a lot of people is going to rewatch this and take away a lot of the stuff that we talked about. Like I said, to everybody else out there watching, all the stuff we talked about, I'm going to try to put into the description. Give me a little bit of time. I'm going to have to get all that, but I'm going to try to put that in the comments in the description so you guys can see all the tools and apps and software, all that good stuff for you guys to click on. And then if you guys want to find these guys, we got Matthew over here. You can find him at MatthewAPhoto.com. You can find him on Facebook, Matthew Anderson, Instagram, Matthew A Photo, and YouTube, Matthew A Photo. I know you got a bunch of videos there. And actually, Matthew, anything you got coming on that you want to share with everybody?
Nothing. No, nothing at the moment. I have a long or a big project that's been in the works for a while. It's something educational. Actually, it's going to be more specific for people probably looking to go from real estate to kind of the A&D stuff. But yeah, it's taking longer than expected. So
because you have to get permission from Carlish to use some of the segments in your video.
For word, I'm just going to rip off everything he said.
Put in parentheses on your title page. The Matthew Anderson Carlish method.
Well, yeah. Well, then I gotta find a good pair of glasses to put on my head too whenever I talk to the camera.
All right, and then we got Gary here, Gary Kasl. You guys can find him at sandcastle.com, Facebook Gary Kasl, Instagram OG Kasl, and YouTube at Gary Kasl 8238. Anything you have going on for the year ahead?
Not much, man. I don't know if that's the right YouTube for my stuff. You could just Google my name on and find whatever about me, but not much coming up. I mean, Brandon asked if I'd be interested in hosting a workshop at the next PMRE, but I haven't heard much about that yet. So maybe that would happen. Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And then lastly, we got Mr. Sick Bedroom, Wayne Capili. You can find him at ifvimages.com, Facebook Wayne Capili, Instagram IFV Images, and YouTube Interface Visual. What about you, Wayne? What do you got going on for the rest of this year? Anything major coming up for you?
I have a couple of workshops, and then
oh yeah.
Don't you guys like know each other?
Nothing.
Yeah, we kind of do.
And then to wrap things up, obviously you guys can find me on either my real estate site, luxuryhomesphotography.com, my A&D site, FraserAlmeida.com, and Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just look up Fraser Almeida. And as far as what we got going on, as some of you guys know, myself, Wayne, and Tony, we got some workshops this year. So look forward to an announcement for one coming up in April. And then we got obviously the big PMRE workshop in November. So that's going to be fun. And then, again, thank you, everybody, for being a part of the stream. If anybody out there, let me see here. If anybody out there wants to support the stream, you can do so. You can use this QR code or feel free to click the description. There's a link there to for any donations. Any of that goes to help making more of these type of videos. So I thank you guys all for being a part of the chat and hanging out with us here today. And share some comments out there, guys. If you guys are looking for more of these kind of live stream videos on certain topics, put that in the comment. Let me know. I love making these type of videos. I think it's really informative. And for somebody either new into the industry or somebody that's already a professional, it's just good to hear, what everybody's doing, what's worked for them, what doesn't work for them. I think it's a collective of information that makes you a better shooter. So I think doing things like this helps all of us as a whole. So Again, thank you guys all for joining me today. And until next time, I'll see you guys all. So have a
Thanks,
good
Daniel.
rest of your evening.
Later.
Adios,
afternoon.
guys.
We'll see you guys. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.